Howdy folks, welcome to another fun-filled video where I find something in the fitness industry and debunk that myth. Today, diets. Moisey, what's the best diet? What's the diet I should do? What's the best diet for me? These questions come up quite a bit. Let me explain what every single diet you will ever come across with regard to weight loss is based upon. Here we go. So, first up we have the 5-2 diet. 5 days of eating a moderate amount of calories and 2 days of eating 10% of bugger all. What this does, it places you in a calorie deficit for the week, which therefore facilitates weight loss. Herbalife. What happens here is you take your lovely tasty meals and you replace them with a shake. Now the meals are normally probably around 400 to 500 calories. You get rid of them and put in a 200 calorie shake. Calories are therefore lower over the course of the week and therefore you place yourself in a calorie deficit and therefore weight loss. You probably see where I'm going with this. Slim Fast, exactly the same principle of Herbalife. You have a Slim Fast shake and therefore it's less calories but a meal replacement as opposed to your normal meal, and therefore you're in a calorie deficit and you lose weight. Cambridge, you start on a very low amount of calories, therefore creating a calorie deficit. You gradually increase calories over time, but you start at a very low position and therefore you lose weight very quickly in the beginning, gradually increasing your calories as time goes on. Ergo, creating a calorie deficit each day and therefore over the course of the week, and therefore you lose weight. Next up, we have Weight Watchers. All we've done here is basically taken the universal currency of calories and replaced it with points. Basically with these points, same thing, very similar to the Slimming World approach, is you are allowed a certain amount of points that you can spend, and therefore once those points have gone, you can't spend any more. Surely it would be much simpler, instead of working things out in euros, to use pounds. Points, calories, you might as well use calories. Don't really understand the point of Weight Watchers, but hey. Paleo, this is basically eating like the cavemen did. So eating like an animal, eating stuff that has been grown in the ground, nothing's allowed to be processed, nothing's allowed to be refined. By doing that, you naturally cut out the sugars, you naturally cut out the shit, ergo creating a calorie deficit, and therefore you lose weight. Juice Plus. All we're doing here is basically removing your lovely tasty meals, etc., replacing them with shakes, replacing them with certain sachets and things to replace the nutrients that you've lost, therefore creating a calorie deficit and therefore you lose weight. Intermittent fasting. You eat bugger all for a certain period of time, then around the afternoon at some point you have a feeding window. You can't possibly eat the same amount of calories in this feeding window because it's very short and you get very full and your stomach is only a certain amount of size. And therefore, you can't eat as much food, and guess what? You lose weight. Next up, we have clean eating. What clean eating consists of is very similar to paleo. You don't eat a lot of shit. And if you don't eat a lot of shit, you therefore aren't getting the dense foods in which contain a lot of calories, therefore you create a calorie deficit and therefore you lose weight. Next up, we have meal plans. Someone, a stranger, tells you to eat a certain foods at certain times in certain quantities. What they've basically done is factor in numerous different foods, none of which are magical. They just place you in a calorie deficit each day. Over the course of the week, you lose weight. Simple. No carb diet. Quite simply, your diet is made up of proteins, carbs, and fats. If you suddenly remove macronutrients, a carbohydrate is 4 calories per gram. If you suddenly remove 200 or 400 grams of carbohydrates, so you remove the pasta, the potatoes, the rice, etc., the bread, what happens is you suddenly do away with about 400, 500, 600, 700 calories per day, ergo creating a calorie deficit, ergo you lose weight. And finally, the protein diet. Quite similar to a little bit of a mix between the paleo and the clean eating and the no carb. Basically, the bulk of your diet is made up of protein. So we're talking your meats, your fish, and some sections of dairy. And basically, protein is quite a complex molecule and therefore it fills you up quite a lot. Very good for satiety. And because you're eating a lot of protein, you don't feel like eating a lot of other stuff. And therefore your calories are much lower because your carbohydrates are lower and your fat is lower, and therefore you create a calorie deficit which puts you in weight loss territory. Every single one of these fucking diets relies on one principle and one principle alone, and that is a calorie deficit. That is how you lose weight. You don't lose weight by taking some magical shakes or eating really clean or following some weekly stand up on a stage, I've eaten dust approach. You lose weight by placing yourself in a calorie deficit, consistently giving your body less calories than it needs, and you lose weight. Now, if you ask me, what's the best diet? In my opinion, flexible dieting. It's a fancy name for pretty much whatever the fuck you're doing at the moment, just reducing the calories slightly and maybe tidying it up. You place yourself in a gentle calorie deficit using the same foods you're already eating, and you lose weight. Exactly the same approach as these guys, but the only difference is you're not demonizing foods like the paleo diet is, or you're not cutting out foods like Herbalife and Slimming World are. You're not fucking starving yourself like the 5-2 and the intermittent fasting diet are, or Cambridge for that. You're not putting random sachets and fucking juices into your diet, and therefore like the Juice Plus diet. You're not standing up on stage and going, look, I lost a pound, yay, well done Sheila, well done. So that one's gone, and you're not demonizing any kind of macronutrients, so therefore these are gone, okay? And of course you know exactly what you're bloody doing, not just following blindly because Gandalf told you to, and following this diet here. Guys, don't be fooled by following random diets because you think they're magical. Every single diet that was on this board uses the same principle. It's a calorie deficit, okay? Any one of these will work for you, promise you that. But a diet success is not measured on whether it worked in the short term. Whether you lost 1 pound, 20 pounds, 5 pounds, it doesn't matter. The question is, did you lose it and keep it off? Because that's how you judge the success of a diet. All of these diets are great in the short term, but you can't live by them, or at least the majority of people can't. However, I believe that you can live by a flexible diet because it's what you do in the first place. You don't cut out foods or anything like that. So, folks, in closing, please take a common sense approach to your diet. Don't follow one just for the sake of following one, or because social media told you to, or because Jill, your mate, told you to. Follow a diet because it's actually right for you, and understand the principle behind it. Knowledge is power, as they say. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.